Hi, this is Mark. I'm just back here again. I thought we'd go over in chapter 6 on page 222. There's a couple of ways to apply overhead. And the traditional approach is the one that you're looking at right now. And this is in the book, in your textbook, McMaster's Cost, the traditional approach of allocating this overhead to these two costs. And in the traditional approach, well, you can see down below here, they've got an estimated manufacturing overhead of $100,000. I'm sorry, that's $100 million. And they divide it by an estimated labor cost of $25 million. So we come up with the overhead allocation per dollar of labor is $4. So we go up in the traditional approach, and we've got $4 of direct labor gets applied, and this, in this case, for the one model is 2,000. Is direct labor is $2,025,000, and you multiply that by 4, and so you get an overhead of $8.1 million. So that really looks like there's a lot of costs that get allocated in that overhead to that one model or that one contract. Whereas the MX420 model didn't have that much direct labor, only $2,600. So the overhead allocation is only $10,400. And look what happens to the profit. The one that gets the biggest slug of that direct overhead is 8.4% gross profit on the sales, and which is not very good. And then you look at the other one as 73.78%, which is huge, and it's simply because they didn't have much direct labor, so they didn't get hit very hard with that overhead. And while that's the traditional approach, then the book talks about on your, and let's see, this is on page 224, a better approach is to come up with an ABC approach to the thing, which is taking a look at the costs that are developed for the different activities they have. And they've got over here, you can see, and it's outlined on page 223, they have the cost drivers, the setup, the material order, material handling, and so forth. You can see it there. And then they have a cost per the driver of $10,000 per setup, $165 for ordering, and those cost drivers are listed there. So when we apply that to these two contracts, the sales is the same, the direct labor, the direct materials all over, and it's all the same under this approach as under the other. But in this activity-based costing approach, you see the setup here for the one ABC, for this ND32 is $200,000 because they got a 20, there's 20 setups, and each setup is no, I didn't do that one right. Just a minute. Now it does. It's $10,000 per setup, and so they got 20 setups, so they get a $200,000 charge. Now over here on this one, they got 2 setups, and they get a $20,000 charge. Material ordering, you can see how that goes. That goes over here to the material ordering, $165 for material ordering, $250 here. That's $41,200. and $4,950. You can see how that goes down, how those costs are generated all the way. And the big hit here is machine costs, which there's 500 machine costs at $1,500 per machine cost. That's $750,000 for that one item, whereas this other contract only got hit for $12,000. Inspection was a big hit on this one for the model N32, and it's also, but relatively speaking, it's a big hit for this project, which has only got $112,500 in sales. Big area here is other. They had 20 here, they got hit for $60,000. Over here they had 30, so they got hit for $90,000. Well, to make a long story short, then this approach, this model ND32 gets hit for $321,850, whereas over here it's 178,825, which is relatively much higher than the other thing it was on the other page over here. You can see they only got hit for an overhead of $10,400, whereas now they're really getting hit with some costs which they probably needed to get hit with. And this is lower over here on the ND32. So as a result, the gross profit margin on this ND32 is 40.13%. And over here, it's a loss of 75.93. And you can see that's the same in your book on page 224. So when we come up with a more defined, a more detailed, activity-based costing approach to coming up with what the allocation for overhead should be based on these cost drivers, it's a more accurate way of doing it, and it shows which product is really profitable and which one is not. So I hope this will help you. We'll see you in class.